Okay.
All right. I
I
got my
say
tea
you
now.
free. You ready?
Yes.
Afi, are you ready to be the odd one out?
Shut up. In five, four, three, two, one.
Welcome, everyone. We're coming home. We've come home. It's the British Grand Prix show. Welcome to Box Goss. Woo, woo, ooh, ooh. How are we feeling, ladies? What's the vibes? What's the tea?
The tea is sterling hot. No, seriously.
Mm.
I just got a fresh cup of tea again. Um, it's oolong this time. I love me some oolong tea. Love me some oolong tea. Yeah.
No, that's good. It's a scorcher because this morning when we woke up, we thought we were going to have a quiet and nice, show, mostly centered around the British Grand Prix. But then y'all in Europe decided to do all sorts of shit and make us wake up for all to at the time of recording. There was
Yeah.
lots of things that went down while we were asleep. But Avishika, vibe check. Give the vibe check.
Damn. Honestly, personally, for me, my vibe is pretty checked. For Ncyk De Vries, I don't know, man. That one, that's
No.
therapy that's needed. Oh, that's that's psychologist needed. That's PTSD inducing. That is the poor man. The poor man. Helmut Marko really doesn't give a damn about anything. Doesn't care about feelings whatsoever.
At
At
all. But
all.
girl, let's not get into it. We need to bring on someone else before we get into it, shall we?
Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Okay. So we are so excited about this guest. She is a good friend of ours that we are so glad that we met when we went to the Australian Grand Prix. For those hanging out on the F1 Twitter circles, especially in Team LH, you may know her as the 99th Cent. Everybody, please give it up for Sumi! Ooh, ooh.
Hi.
Hey, girly, hey. How you
Are we
doing?
doing a dance? Are we doing a dance? I'm
We always
good.
do a dance.
I love this. This is the vibes that we come here for.
That is it. This is all good vibes, good energy, all that good stuff. I mean, it's just a fun vibe. We live for it. Definitely a better vibe than other places at the moment. Within the Formula One world. But before we get into that, girly, tell us your F1 origin story. How did you get into
Ah,
motorsports?
it's pretty cliche. So, as you know, we went through a tough lockdown in Melbourne.
Yes,
There
we
was
did.
not much to do. There was not much to
Yeah.
do. So with F1, my husband's really into like sports in general. He watches everything. And F1 was one of those things that he's a bit of like a casual viewer of. So I was always like over the years always hearing all this F1 stuff, but like I didn't even know what F1 was. Like sometimes they'd be talking about MotoGP, sometimes F1, and I was kind of like making fun of everyone like what you guys just watch cars go around in circles like that must be so boring. Anyway, he's been trying for ages to get me into a sport just so we could watch something together. And then in lockdown, it was around 2020, 2021. I saw a few casual races and I was kind of like taken back because I was like, I didn't realize there was a big engineering side to it. So I got interested because of the whole scientific stuff, like not just like the pit stops, but the cars. And then they were interviewing engineers, and I was like, what's the point of having an engine? What the hell is a race engineer? Like, what's a like race strategist? Like, how do you become a race strategist? Like, and I was just thinking about because I graduated from like a STEM field and stuff. So I was like, what qualifications do you need to do strategy? And so I started like paying more attention. And then as this is going on, there's this like big title fight brewing. And I was talking to my friend who was really into F1, and he's a Max Verstappen fan. So he's going, oh my God, like there's this guy, he's like up and coming, like you have to pay attention to him. He's so fast. Look at him go. And then I just started watching races and I was getting more and more into it. But I don't know how I became a Lewis Hamilton fan, because we went back and someone recommended we watch Drive to Survive to get like a background story of the drivers and the team. So I went back and watched Drive to Survive, and the first few seasons are about Haas and all that. And I was like, oh my God, this team's so funny. Like there's this whole backstory. And then my husband was commenting because he hasn't really, like I said, he was really casual viewer. And in the background, he was like, isn't it funny that like they're talking to like Haas and Alpine, and there's a Renault drama and Danny Rick and all this stuff. But in the background, there's this guy, Lewis Hamilton, just quietly winning every single race, just in the background. But no one's talking about him. And I started like looking into Lewis Hamilton. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, what's he about? And it's just, I just caught him at the right time, when he's always been really vocal and I guess a bit of very passionate online and posting really nice messages and lots of positive things. And that was the time that I just like, followed him on Instagram, and I'm like, wow, this guy's like so cool. Like seems like such a nice and down to earth person. This is before I've even like really like made anything, looked at his driving. Even I didn't even know he was like a multiple world champion. And then I just started watching the races, and I was like, I like Lewis. I want him to win. I don't like this Max Verstappen guy. And that's how it started. And then it just got worse. And you know how it was during that time. It was like really, really heated. So
yeah. I mean, that is incredible. I'm sure your friend is kicking themselves at the moment. That
they're not happy. Happy.
But
they've been trying to say like, oh, but he complains so much on the radio, but this, but that. And I'm like, you can't convince me, man. It's done. It's done.
I mean, look, that's better than me. And I introduced one friend to like Formula One, and she ended up liking Charles Leclerc. I see why, but I'm a Lewis fan. Like, come on. But yeah, no, I think that's so cool that you're interested, that your entry into Formula One was actually through the scientific way and like through the engineering. Because like only one of us here really cares somewhat deeply about it. I'll let you guess which one that is. Why are you looking away, my friend? The person, Dana.
I don't know why you have to say someone deeply.
Actually, that's great. That's a good point. Okay, deeply. I mean, deeply cares about the engineering side of things. And you know what? The sport needs more women in that field.
Of course,
so I think that's such a cool way. And have you found that your knowledge of like engineering and like
it's hard because there was a point in time I wanted to study engineering. So I came from a family of engineers. So my dad and his dad and all of that. So and my brother was going to become an engineer and he dropped out. But so I there was a point in time I really wanted to do it, and I ended up in healthcare in the end. But there was a point where I was going to go back and I was like, I'm going to do engineering. But what always let me down was I'm not very good at math. I still am not. I'm not very confident with my math skills. So that's a big part of engineering. So if you're not, I think maybe naturally gifted with it in that sense, you would struggle. And I don't know if I was willing to take on that much stress, because I was like, oh. So even with Formula One like stuff, learning about downforce, and I was like, oh, that's so interesting. I didn't even think about that. I mean, who does really, right? Like, what the hell is downforce outside of F1? But then I was like, wow, downforce, because I have an interest in aviation and planes. And I was like, oh, downforce must be the opposite of lift, right? I mean, I don't know how it works. I couldn't explain those Venturi tunnels or whatever the hell they're called. But I just found that really interesting. I still do. And I just wish I understood it more.
Oh, bless. No, I think that is actually very cool. And like, I understand downforce and things. No, I don't. I'm not from an engineering background. I'm a media girl. Like, I am with all those girlies that post like that are doing social media admin funness. Like, that is more my side of things. But like race strategy makes me like that. I find very interesting.
Very interesting.
And, fascinating.
Yeah. And all the politics behind that as well too.
But there's a really good.
Also my beat.
Sorry, go ahead, Sumi.
Oh no, I think I spoke over a few people. There's a really good podcast or something with Bernie Collins. from how she's on Sky
Mhm.
Sports. Have you guys heard it? She's really good in that, where she explains her origin and how she got into Formula One.
Oh, no way.
It's, I think, on the
actually,
Sky Sports podcast, I think.
mhm. No, I mean, I always like her insight, especially when they bring her in during the races. So it'd actually be really cool to hear her origin story. So I'm going to go check that out. And I think everyone else here should too. She's been a great contributor to Sky Sports at this point in time. But speaking of Sky Sports, actually, I'm not going to leave with that. Let's just start talking about Nick and Danny. Because so much happened during the British Grand Prix and then continued to implode upon itself. It's been an interesting time. It's been an interesting, 12, 24 hours in our world. I mean, I don't even know where to really begin. So essentially, I'm gonna just start with the biggest news is that unfortunately Nick De Vries is out of the job. Yeah, and and Daniel Riccardo is coming back, which all us Australians, let us all rejoice. We are all very happy about that. It is good that that's all I spoke about in at work with anyone that was interested in F1. I was like, Daniel Ricciardo's back. Daniel Ricciardo's coming back. Daniel Ricciardo's coming back. It's
I mean,
yes to say.
the thing is that it's a big celebration. That's all the F1 Twitter is talking. That's all the official F1 Twitter is talking about. Apparently, they put out 28 posts just celebrating Daniel Ricciardo.
The important
and
Nick.
not the damn thing about Nick De
Poor
Vries.
Nick.
So
This is awful. This is a canon memory for him. This is terrible for him. This is
might be his
horrible.
villain.
Imagine
This might be his villain origin story.
Honestly, it might be. It might be this. Imagine. First imagine being fired, right? But by Helmut Marko. Oh.
I think a lot of people have been in that position though.
That's
they should start a support group. Honestly, Gasly,
a GoFundMe.
Albon.
Yeah,
I think
Gasly.
I think they need to
Kvyat.
put them in
Red Bull race is where you go to destroy your race career dreams.
Your mental health as well. Yay!
That too.
So that's hand in hand. I think I'm not. Is anyone really surprised? I'm not.
No,
personally.
I'm not.
I just think it was just the savagery that took my breath away.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting on the bus, have not yet had my coffee, staring at all the tweets coming through, being like, wait, did this actually happen? I know that there were talks. I mean, I was aware of that. After 5 races, there were already rumblings about it. So I was thinking, okay, if he doesn't shape up, maybe a little after the break or maybe at the break, they'll let him go. Not 10 races.
I think
we haven't made. We're 2 off the break.
No, I think there's other things going on at Red Bull that has changed how it's influenced the decision as well. I'm thinking, well, my theory is that we all know that Perez is not possibly going to be at Red Bull for much longer, whether he leaves or whether he gets fired, right? But sorry. But someone just what are you doing? But I think what's actually happened is that because of Perez's situation, there's been no one really cares about AlphaTauri. They've got a crappy car, right? So they're not really going anywhere. Whether they get a better driver or not, I don't really know if that means they're going to move that much higher in the constructors. I don't know how much progress it's going to make to the team. But I think what they really need is someone in Red Bull, and there's no one. So if they are going to consider Danny Rick to put him in Perez's seat, right, then they need to trial him first.
They do.
Clearly, they're running out of time to make those decisions, right?
Right.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of
Go ahead
sense.
and say.
Like the
Oh,
thing
sorry.
is just, oh no, you're fine.
No, it's
Like the thing
no,
is
it's fine. I'm sorry.
like
You two, one of you two talk. What's wrong with you?
I was like,
I'm sorry. Go on and say. Go on and
just
say.
go ahead.
No, go
So
on
like,
and say.
okay, fine. I will go. This is gonna be, otherwise it'll go with back and forth and back and forth. The thing is like, oh, we've been knew that Red Bull is the place where dreams go to die, basically. But it's just like, I think watching it, just I was up at around 12 midnight this morning, just watching it all go down, and how first it was someone from Viaplay that broke it, then it was someone from the British F1 wing that broke it. Then next thing you know, Formula One's come out with it, and it's just like, damn. And you just like sitting there watching it all play out, and it's like, the thing is that we kind of knew it was coming, because there was a sit down discussion already in Miami saying, if you don't shape up, it's just, it's just the thing that really gets me in all of this is that even though I know we kind of knew it was coming, it is still really brutal to watch. And the thing is that if I am Sergio Perez, I would be shaking in my boots right now, in my racing boots, because
absolutely.
he has not had a good year either. He has not had a good year either. Right now he is more so known for, there's a part of it that's known for the gossip surrounding him rather than his race results. And at this point, if it was me, I'd be scared, because it's like, the thing is like, he says that, oh, I couldn't care less about what's happening. You should, because it could be him next. And they love Daniel Riccardo at Red Bull. He does good PR. He's already in the seat, so who's to say he's not going to take Sergio Perez's? Yeah.
Agreed.
Happy.
Everybody is saying that, oh, we all knew this might happen. I didn't. I was shocked. I didn't. I totally.
So were you paying attention?
I very rarely do, but what's it called? Last night, the way I found out was I was taking a shower, and it was one of those good self-care showers, where like you shave and everything. Like it was one of those with a face mask and everything. It's one of those ones.
Yeah.
So he knocks on the door. Say knocks on my door and goes, "Hey, Ncyk De Vries is out." I'm like, "What?" And she's like, she said, "Oh yeah. Daniel Riccardo is not driving for Nick." I said, is he sick? What happened to Nick? Like, what's going on? He said, no.
Is he sick?
Helmut Marko booted him. This man is evil. This Helmut Marko is an evil man. That's all I really have to say. He destroying if he hears in the morning when he wakes up, he hears a baby cry. He hears the smile of a parent from their firstborn child, and he knows he's about to ruin a day because he doesn't want anyone in his life to be happy. He hates everybody. Anyways, kudos to Helmut Marko. I hope to have his confidence one day.
He's a very performance motivated individual. I guess that's
but like but yeah, it fosters an environment that is disastrous for drivers.
Speaking of which,
the
how
amount
mom
of
and dad
people that have come
hard
out
on us with grades,
Yeah.
Can you imagine Helmut Marko's children and grades?
I think he wouldn't care if they're not in racing. He's like, great.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I think he would care. I think regardless, he would expect the best from his kids. He's scared. I'm afraid of him.
I think if he saw, like, if it ain't A-star, are you coming home? Are you sleeping in your bed tonight? My friend, no! You are staying at school until you get check it out. Wow. No, I mean, I think, we've talked, this is not the first time this conversation has come up. I mean, obviously we've seen, and I feel like it's now become like canon in like a year and in like an F1 calendar that we can expect some sort of driver drama from the Red Bull outfit. I think what kills me, I guess, about this case is that it's just how quick it was. I mean, like it, and I feel like I was probably geared up for it a bit more than I was the last ones. I was probably more like Afi, looking like switching my head around, being like, what the hell is this? But this time I was like seeing, okay, and I was actually after Miami, I was starting paying attention to Nick, and I was like, okay, mate, you gotta like step it up. I mean, even in Britain and even in Silverstone, he came stone last. So like I see it. The car is shit.
Enough. Yeah,
the car is bad.
Behind
and
Logan,
it's not like he doesn't.
Doing good.
I think it was behind. He was behind Logan. Let me double check.
That's not good.
I think Logan. I think Williams had a great time in Great Britain.
I mean, Albin always.
Fantastic.
Well, he was the last person.
Yeah. Logan was way ahead.
Yeah,
Kevin, he did not come last.
He was last. No, but he was because wasn't he? Because Pierre, Esteban, and Kevin retired. So he was dead back.
But Magnussen was right behind him.
But he retired.
He retired?
His car blew up. Yeah, his car blew up.
Oh, yeah, it's true. His car did blow up. So Nick De Vries was still last. Anyway,
he was last. Yeah.
Yeah, Williams brought some serious upgrades that caused their rocket to also go left ways. So, like, they were, like, the back markers were... And Sergio Perez also had a nightmare of a race as well, too. He was 15th. It was only Yuki, Zhao, and Nick De Vries that were right behind him. Perez.
Yeah, that's true.
In the fastest car on the grid.
Look, Perez, if we're going
to... Assay's right. Perez is in trouble. He should look at this and look at Daniel Riccardo's coming for his seat. And if Danny has done as well as they... Of course. I mean...
Yeah.
In all honesty...
It's crazy.
The only reason why I wasn't paying attention was because I remember when Nick had done really well in the Mercedes. And then and then I was like, oh, okay, good on Nick. And then I kind of just forgot about him. I'm pretty sure he's on my fantasy team.
Oh no. I haven't checked that in weeks.
I totally forgot about that.
I haven't checked that either.
You don't do well with picking your fantasy teams ever.
He's like, yeah.
It's not great.
I think last year you like left off people that did very well, and then I think you put Mick in your fantasy team.
And the year before that, you also added Yuki Tsunoda.
No.
Oh,
Nikita Mazepin in your F1 fantasy team.
If you did that, Effie, I would have disowned you.
I put Yuki in when I first started fantasy. And then because I saw, the car and the Ferrari doing testing, I was like, ooh, so it's even worse. I put Ferrari inside. I don't know why I put Ferrari inside in all honesty. It's really painful to my spirit, and I would like to not be reminded of it. I haven't checked my fantasy thing in months because I've been scared.
Me too. I think the last time I checked was after Australia. What race was it? Baku? Was it Baku after Australia? That was
Baku after.
Yeah, that was the last time I checked my F1 fantasy. It's been a while since then.
It's been a minute. 6 races later. But I mean, I also think, and I'm. People are also taking into consideration Nick's age. I knew he was that old. Like, he's a year younger than me. Yeah, but and things like that. But I also just think, and then they're saying, well, because he's won championships and he's a bit older, he should be performing better. And I'm like, well,
that's not the case.
Daniel Riccardo has been in Formula One for a very long time, and did he do miracles with that McLaren last year? No.
The thing is that and also he's won championships before, so there is that expectation. But the thing is that he's still a rookie. He's still coming in. He's trying to build a rapport in Formula One. and there's a bit of a learning curve, and champion or not, you have to go through a bit of a learning curve before you can start to cook. And it's like I don't know, like, and it's like, that's the sad thing, is like, had he gone for the entire season, he would have cleaned up his act and got it together. Afi, are you okay?
I just yawned.
Okay, cool. Maybe he would have gotten everything together. But that's the thing. Now we'll
still mourning Nick.
Yeah.
And I want to also be very clear to people that think, oh, we don't want Danny. We want Riccardo back.
Yes, we do.
Everyone wants Riccardo back. F1 wants Riccardo back so much that he's basically. What do you mean? Well, say, be careful.
Some people
remember
do,
your
some
citizenship.
Look,
remember where you came from.
Remember where you came from.
Well, we've got 2 Australians on the grid now. That's crazy.
Yes, it's
crazy.
great.
For the first time since 2013, I think, or 2003,
great.
Something like that. I don't remember. Yay!
I don't know. Yay! Look, Australia. I love being Australian. I watch supercars. It's a great sport. My favorite treat. I am looking forward to the day where I can get lamingtons and my sausage sizzle. But let's be on. And I love Daniel Riccardo so much. And I listen to Kylie Minogue. Love her.
Okay, we get it. So you're very proud to be Australian. Keep going.
But
do you watch Neighbours?
The thing is that the thing is that, what am I coming to say? I mean, it's like, you're coming to wonder, is he gonna sink or swim? Because it's like, let's be honest, Yuki Tsunoda is also in the season, and he's done remarkable wonders with the car. A car that isn't that great. So it's like, I'm happy to see Daniel Ricciardo come back, especially to go racing in Vegas. But, who's to say that he's not next on the chopping block?
It's true. I think like he really needs to prove himself here, because people, I mean, I don't know where you guys stand on this, but I'm still sort of on the fence of, was Danny Rick washed, or was something going on in McLaren? Because the performance in McLaren was really bad, especially in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So I was one of the people that was saying, I don't think that, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand how you can drop off that bad unless he just has, right? So I think this is really the turning point for him, because he really needs to prove it now that he still has that driver in him that was the driver in Red Bull, what was it, 6 years ago now? Because he really doesn't have much to stand on, because if he is not good in this car, the worst car on the grid, with Yuki Tsunoda as your teammate, then I think that it'll actually be career ending completely.
Yeah. I think that's a very astute. Both of you have made great points. I mean, he also did well in Renault as well too. Like he got podiums and won for them, and then decided to bounce going to
and then
McLaren.
Just left, and then downhill from there, which no one understands really. Was it a car? Was it him?
Yeah.
Aside from the one win that he netted in McLaren, that's it.
And can I point out is that the thing about McLaren is that, they bounced him, but
Say was about to
and into.
Oh, I thought it was me.
Say was about to land on a really good point.
Where is she? She's frozen.
I say,
like, he was
do that part again. Do that part again. Start again.
I'm gonna do it again. Doing it.
Wait, her video's frozen?
And her video's frozen.
Daniel Ricciardo was on his way out.
Wait, I say, can you restart from the beninging?
Okay.
When
Daniel
Daniel
Ricciardo, McLaren, on his way out, Daniel Ricciardo not only got to finish out his season, but he also McLaren tried to put him into IndyCar. They tried to get him into smaller teams, and he still said, no, I want to be an F1 driver. So he had these opportunities to go elsewhere and thrive, but he still said no. And as much as I respect that, knowing that now he's got a shit ton of things to prove, not just with the fact that he's been here before, but also the fact that he's been here before, got offers to go other places and fried, rejected that, and came back to the place that he's actually started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would be scared shitless. Effie, go ahead.
Personally, I think we discussed this in another show where one of you, someone definitely ain't me, said something along the lines of like, sometimes F1 isn't meant for everyone. And this isn't me saying like Daniel Riccardo isn't meant for F1. He's obviously he's obviously done some stuff in the sport, of course. But I think it's a bit prideful for you to be like, no, I'm just gonna stay in F1. Like, I don't want to go anywhere. I mean, I think if you have the opportunity to try other sports, then you should take it. But I actually didn't know that he had rejected going into other sports. I didn't know. I'm out of the loop. I've been out of the loop for a minute.
I knew a little bit about that, but it kind of makes me think that something was going on. What was that noise?
That was me.
Okay. It kind of makes me think that something was going on at McLaren for him to say no. For him to be like, I want to stay in F1 because he believes that he had the ability and the pace, and something was either he wasn't meshing with the car, it was developed in the other way. I don't know, but something must have been happening there. Otherwise, he would have turned around and said, yeah, look, my performance is shit. And maybe I should try something else. Maybe I will make more money and have a career somewhere else, right? Yeah. But he really believed that it was good. So
that
weird.
makes a lot of sense because McLaren is having issues with even keeping their headquarters, no? Like they're thinking of selling it?
What?
I did not know.
Selling it? I think I've heard that. Wait. I think I've heard. No, I think I've heard
if
rumors
Masay
about
hasn't heard about it, I could be wrong. So wait.
So while Fishika checks, I think there is also, while I get where Fishika's coming from in the sense that like there is a bit of pride, but that's Formula One, babes. Like a lot of these drivers have egos. And right. I think there is, and I actually kind of respect that. I'm kind of like, if you know where you belong and you know what works for you and where your place is, to fight for that, I think is something that is very inspirational. So I will definitely be rooting on Danny in this next part of the season. I'm hoping that he's able to have an amazing comeback and really bring that car up. I do understand, and I do have a healthy dose of skepticism. AlphaTauri is not great. Yes, are you confirming?
When did Danny drive? What year for McLaren?
Last year and the year before that.
2020 and 2021.
2021, that's it. So 2019, he was at Renault.
No.
Right? No, right. Am I going backwards?
Wait. So he didn't drive this year. He was at McLaren last year. So 2022, right. 2021.
And 2020.
And 2020? And 2020. Yes, it was 2020.
Okay.
I remember. Yes.
Okay,
so 2019 was his last year with.
Yeah, because there's been they agreed to sell the headquarters in 2020. For like
in 2020.
Well, they're getting a new wind tunnel, McLaren, or they have a new wind tunnel,
right? I don't know, guys. I'm just doing my best. Oh, I don't want Twitter to come after me. And then what from what I see, they were thinking of selling their headquarters in 2020, and the price has been changing. So there's stories from 2020 to 2021.
I mean, I think I've heard rumors that they've been wanting to sell that place, and get a wind, and yes, also get a new wind tunnel, or optimize it. I think
they have don't they have a new wind tunnel, or it's in the works? Like it's going to be opening up, right?
Yeah, I also heard that about Aston Martin as well too. I'm very confused about everything.
Aston Martin's definitely getting one, yeah.
Yeah, and they have a new headquarters altogether. That's why they were doing shouting and hoopla at Silverstone. But yeah, I think, so I know McLaren's going through a lot of stuff. Their car was not great, like, in the last couple of years. And, it was just, but, like, I think No, I think in all honesty, I'm going to be rooting for Daniel Riccardo, but I do think that if it doesn't necessarily work out, I mean, sometimes you gotta know when to hold them, know when to
Know when
fold
to
them,
fold them.
know
Know
when to
when to
walk
walk
away.
away. Know when to
I don't know
run.
this song.
You gotta count your cards
Your-
and sit in at the table. It's a
That's
good
you
song.
see,
What
that
song
is
is
a good
that?
song. I have no idea.
Nice. Thank
But
you.
it's a country star that did it. Okay, guys, we spent like almost the entire episode talking about Daniel Riccardo. And so I want to spend the last 15 minutes about the other big off-track news that happened, but it happened at Silverstone. And this now leads me into my segue about Sky Sports. Martin Brundle's grid walk is under fire again.
Oh, I was like,
Boy.
happened at Sky Sports. I was like, what are you?
Yeah.
You're not gonna like what I have to say.
I'm
Say it.
curious
This
because
is a
I've
safe
actually
space.
spoken. Because I have spoken to a few, like I spoke to someone else about it, and she had the exact opposite response that I did. So I'm curious, what did you think? So just as a clarification,
So
Cara
I
Delevingne didn't want to be interviewed by Martin Brundle on the grid walk. Call it bit. Go.
so I don't normally watch the grid walk. I normally tune in right before the race because of Australian timing. So this time I had it on. So, and I was watching, and then I was like, "Is that Cara?" And I thought she was really rude. I know the history that Martin Brundle has had with other celebs, and yes, I know he's pushy. Yes, I know he's also, I think, extra. I think he takes more offense when it's a woman. I think there is an element of that as well. But in saying that, I think why it stood out so much was because it was so in contrast to everyone else that he spoke to. So right before her, I don't know who it was, he was speaking to someone and they were super keen. Right after her, the guy he was speaking to was like, "Hey," gave him this big hug. And it was just like, she just really stood out. And I think it's the way she was just like, "No." And I was like, wow, that was really rude. Like, geez, just at least say like, sorry, like not interested, like have a nice day. Or you don't even need to say have a nice day, but just like, look, sorry, we're not interested. But it was the deadpan, like, no. And yeah. And then later on I saw the backlash and I'm like, all right, fair enough. I see everyone's point. Like I remember the Megan the Stallion thing that happened. Was it last year in Coda? Or was it the year before? I don't even remember which year it was.
Before, actually.
Could it have been the year
Yeah.
before? Was it the year before?
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if it was last year. Yeah, so even then, like I get it. Like it's there's been times where he's definitely like been wrong, and there's been times where people have been very rude to him. But I just felt like that was just a bit.
I mean, I actually completely respect that. And I get where you're coming from. When I first watched it, I was like, oh, that's a bit cringy. Like,
Yeah.
Cara didn't need to be like that and things like that. I mean, I felt that the whole interaction was bad vibes. Like,
it was bad vibes.
Cara
from
had
start.
I think Cara had a bit of a tude. Martin had a bit of a tude. I will not admit. I will admit. They both had attitude. Like, they were both giving sass. And
I think the person we should blame is the guy that was advising Cara. He was the one.
Yeah, I blame actually him because he instigated it. Because I think
he did.
Cara's interested in the sport. She's interested in motorsport. She's driven a Formula E car. Like it's not like she's not interested in motorsport. And I feel like she kind of had an idea of who Martin Brundle is. I'm sure, like, if that guy did not say anything, she may have actually said a comment and things like that.
Because he instigated it, and then he sort of like turned around and like didn't face the TV. Like it was like he kind of went, and then disappeared. And I was like, "Who are you?"
Exactly. And I think it was an Alfa Romeo representative. So I think the thing that kills me, and that's probably why I'm a bit more annoyed at Martin Brundle than I am more at Cara, is that he kept going. He seemed to have a bee in his bonnet about it. And he was like, I mean, like he had sass after the interaction. Okay, fine. Both of you were sassy. But then he decided to keep going during the actual F1 race and make a comment about it. I mean, like, it's not that deep. It's not that
really
deep.
isn't.
And people do say no. I mean, like, and yes, she may have not said it in a pretty polite way. But, like, I think you know, and I think also the thing that also killed me is that people were going on and saying that, oh, you know, it's protocol, it's this and that. You have to talk to any reporter that comes up to you when you do the grid walk. You don't. There's no rule in Formula One where you need to do that. I mean, if it were me, I would definitely do that. I mean, if I know what the protocol is and what like the culture is, yeah, I would speak up and I would say something. I would if I could. I like and things like that. Not saying I'm ever going to be that famous, but like I would be polite and I would say something. But like I just think, sorry, Afi, you had something to say. I just felt like that and Martin more annoyed me because I feel like he could have been the bigger person and just like been like, okay, make this not comment, end it. It's Silverstone. Let's have a good time. You don't need to keep it going. Afi?
Sorry, I forgot my hand was raised after some time. I think that no, I'm genuinely not trying to be an ass. Like I totally forgot my hand was raised. Anyways, the where I take issue with this whole entire situation is, yes, I think Martin was a little bit too extra like sassy. Like he was really like, in my opinion, because he kept going, he was like giving the sass that I would give to like my parents. I'm like, and that's a lot of sass in my opinion. But I take a little bit of issue with that because he's not entitled to talk to everyone, and he's not entitled to have everyone talk to him, which is my thing. But like whatever, you know, grid walk. My main issue is men coming up saying, it's fine. Women don't know anything about the sport anyways. Who are you even? With that no face, no name Twitter handle. Gets a life, in all honesty, because like I don't think this is an excuse to say that all women don't know anything about the sport. Also, as I mentioned, Tara like knows Formula E of all things, you know. So
I know, like it's like no one knows Formula E, right?
Yeah. So that's where I take a lot of issue, but I do think that there was a bit of toot and a bit of sass that wasn't necessary. And to be honest, I just watched the clip, like just because I've been really out of the loop. It's been a tough week. But I just watched the clip and I don't know. I don't think she had to be like that either. I don't think
especially like when you watch the others.
I haven't seen
the other interview. Yeah, if you watch it in like the succession that it sort of played in live, where it was like everyone was happy, woo, Silverstone, woo, 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 and then it's just like no, and then like after I was like, hey man, how you going? It's just it really stood out, and I think that's why people paid attention to it. Otherwise, it would have probably gone unnoticed, right?
I agree.
I get that. The thing is that like one thing that I've learned. I mean. Yeah, Car Delevingne. Maybe if Car Delevingne and Martin Brundle both toned down the sass, it would have been okay. But I guess I think for me, it's another lesson in why consent within working in media matters and how it's a bit of a cautionary tale. And it's like, I think there's an understanding that, not everyone's going to be upfront and understanding of the F1 culture. And there are times where people are just like, no, I don't want to be on camera. And the best thing you can do is just be like, okay, have a nice day then. Enjoy the race. So it's like, I think this whole thing is just more so a bit of a cautionary tale.
But we've had so many of these cautionary tales. Especially with the same guy. Like we've had so many of these.
That's true.
The only thing is that this time specifically, the recipient of Martin's sass was also sassy. Like the last time we had, when it was Megan was pretty. It
wasn't really Megan. It was a security guard.
It was a security guard.
It was the security, and then who was the one with the friend? Who was like,
it was Simone Ashley. That was Monaco.
Yeah,
that was Monaco.
But there's also the Brundle clause, right? Like you guys know of that,
right? So that's now
there's something
Right.
in there that says they don't have to talk to media, but they're advised that, one, they can't have security on the grid, I think it
Exactly.
is, and two, they are advised that they will be approached for an interview, and I don't think it means they have to, but so like some of these celebs just stand there acting like shocked, like, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
calm down, babes.
And-
It's 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before a race. Like the whole world is watching. Like, you know, drop the
Yes.
tune a bit.
Yeah, and I agree. I think like there is a level of whoever is advising these celebrities when they're coming onto the grid walk should probably do a better job.
I agree.
Whoever
Yeah.
and all of that and be
Yeah.
like and give them that sort of briefing because they need to
Yeah.
be given notice that like, you know, this can happen and this may or may not occur. And so like I agree with that. And I understand that yeah, they're celebrities, they're in the public eye a lot and things like that. But also they are human as well. And, you know, if they're there, they could be there not even representing anybody. They're just there for vibes. They don't necessarily, and they're just there to enjoy the race. Maybe they paid for that plenty thousands of dollars. Hey, the sport is expensive.
It is an expensive
to be
sport.
on to be in the paddock club and walk the grid walk and things like that. I don't know, because you can, I think, opt in for that sort of thing. And yeah, they paid all that money and they just want to hang out and vibe. Like when it comes down to that, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, it is I feel like if they say no, I see why. But like you know, it's yeah, I think like people they like there needs to be better briefing protocols. There needs
For
to
sure.
be and I
Yeah.
think like everyone just needs to kind of understand that everyone's human and like, you know,
Just a bit of kindness, I
you're
guess.
also
But
yeah.
you know,
Yes.
but
And
also
like
I think the grid walk is not a guaranteed experience. Like you could have the paddock club and stuff, but the grid walk is, I think it must be by invitation only or some kind of thing like that, right?
yeah,
If you're part of the team garage is why you would be on the grid
that is
before
true.
the race,
Yes.
not the grid walk, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it's not actually really in a package or anything like that. So I think
Yeah.
you know, these celebs have the option to just not be there too, because if they're just standing there
also
to talk to
true.
their friends, like just talk to their friends in the paddock. Like
Mm.
you don't need to be on the grid, you know.
Right. I get
Yeah.
that. And, you know, I also get that, like, you know, I think, like, it's also kind of like a respect thing. You are coming to a ground that a lot of people respect and would love the opportunity to be on. You know, I think there's an element of taking that also seriously. So I do respect people that say, give those tickets to other people that may deserve it more. Because, you know, they may I mean I don't know if, but like because like yeah I think there's a level of appreciation that maybe some people don't always give off when they're exposed to that sort of thing. But I think also at the same time, I mean, I think there's also an element of professionalism as well too. Martin Brundle was there for that's a part of his job, and
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
he could have handled that a lot better. And I was a little sad about how if that was handled. And Cara, I think, was also representing Alfa Romeo at the time. I think
Yeah.
they gave her bad advice, unfortunately,
Mhm.
and I think she could have also handled that better as well too. It was a disappointing and cringy moment of the race, and it
It was
does make me
really
wonder if I'm ever
cringy.
gonna watch the grid walks ever again because I'm like I can't.
I
I don't
mean,
want to
that's
deal
just-
with this
It
anymore.
was really cringy.
I don't-
I will say it was a nasty thing to watch. Ooh,
it was quite nasty.
hurts my heart.
It does.
I'm
And it's
sad.
like at this point I might as well just tune in for the national anthem and that's how I'm gonna start my thing. Or
Yeah.
watch all or if I happen to be up early, watch all the pre-show items, skip the grid walk, go to the national anthem.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was bad. Anyway, we are out of time. We even forgot to tell you who came, who the results were. Verstappen won as usual, followed
We
by
don't need
Norris.
to. We don't need to explain the results. Verstappen won.
Yeah, Verstappen
Wait, but
won.
we
But
do
like,
need-
you know, it was great to see. Yes, say.
Oh no, keep going. You're going to
Well, I was
say
just gonna say Norris came second, which was wonderful, and he was driver of the day by like a country mile. And Lewis
Yeah.
Hamilton, you know, it's still his favorite track. He came third, which, you know, Team LH fans, we love to see that. Asay, do you want to say something before I give Sumi the floor?
So I was coming to say that we also ran a poll about which debrief you guys wanted to be in You guys said Ferrari again by 48.6%, followed by Mercedes with 22.9%, followed by Williams by 17.1%, followed by Alpine by 11.4%. We forgot to add in McLaren, but let's be honest, they were busy spraying themselves with champagne, so.
Did you guys see the podium when you know how Lando opens his how he pops
Yeah.
I didn't watch that. Everyone was
Pops
talking
it.
about that on
No,
Twitter.
it's because
What happened?
well, Lando he popped it and it went very high, and Lewis tried, but he
Oh.
did it in the most like gentle way, Paul. Like nothing was going on. Lewis literally just tapped it, and everyone in the comment section is so funny of all of the clips that I've seen. If you go on like Instagram or TikTok, they're so funny. Everyone's so funny on the internet. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully
The internet
Lando's
is a
put the
funny
voice
place.
I love
So
Twitter, like
funny.
the tweets. Like there was a tweet I saw during the race by Spanners, and it was like something like, this is even though I expect Ferrari to Ferrari, this is the most Ferrari have Ferrari to race, or something like that. And I was like, that is brilliant. Like this is exactly how I feel in this moment. So I feel like you
I
guys need to do
agree.
a whole other show on just Ferrari, because
We
there's so much to unpack there.
We actually probably should, because like
Yeah.
Ferrari, like that was also another big thing, and we didn't even get to it. Ferrari was a mess.
Ferrari,
Oh,
Ferrari
what a
again.
team!
Mess.
He
Ferrari
keeps
again.
giving. The clown show keeps on giving. Anyway, Sumi, please, what are your final thoughts? How did you feel about Britain? How do you feel about the rest of the season? Sound us off.
Well, I think Silverstone was a good race. And by the way, like I say Silverstone, but I think that's wrong. Like it's Silverstone, but I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know.
Silverstone.
I say
I
Silverstone too.
I think
I've
it's
been listening
Silverstone.
to people from the UK, and they tend to say Silverstone, which I find really
Really?
weird. Yeah, just listen for it next time. I don't know which one it is. Someone can correct us in the comments.
Oh wow.
But
That's
anyway,
pretty
so
weird.
I think Silverstone is a good track. At least it's a proper racing track and allows for good racing. So the race was interesting. I will say the start of the race was really good. To see not Verstappen leading, but Lando Norris for 5 laps. I mean, I knew Verstappen was going to take the lead. As soon as DRS was open, he was going to do it. But it was so refreshing to see that. And then to see Piastri right behind him, I was like, whoa, finally a race I can tune into. Anyway, and then,
Yes.
just you sort of like got sleepy again after that, because you're like, oh, here we go. But yeah, I think it was a good race, and especially out of all the races we've had recently. And the quali was quite good, and I've been finding that I enjoy qualis lately more than the races themselves, because the races can get pretty dry on some tracks. But in general, I think it was good. And what else did you ask me? Because I forgot. You said,
How are you feeling about the rest of the season?
oh, rest of the season. I mean, not great as a Mercedes fan, but also like as a fan of the sport, like, I mean, like there's a good team, like a battle happening if you take Max out of the championship, right? There is like, who's coming second? I have no idea, right? Like, it's definitely not Perez at this point, but you know what I mean? It's a real mess. Like, there's so many teams that are going for second in constructors and in drive. I don't even know what the standings are for the second place, but like,
Constructors, actually, Mercedes is in the
Yeah.
lead, and then Aston is a little behind. So Aston has some work to do.
what about in the
Yeah.
drivers? Is it Alonso in second?
I think it's still Alonso.
Right.
Let me double check.
I think so.
I think it's still Alonso.
Oh, it's Perez.
No, it's Perez.
No way.
And
well,
then
I guess
Alonso, and then. But if
Lewis.
Perez keeps doing the way he's doing, yes, Alonso will be overtaking second. So
Yeah,
you are right. There's a battle there.
Alonso's not far, but yeah, like if you look through the standings, it's quite close. So I mean, in that part of it, it's good, but it's also different not watching races like for wins. Like you're kind of like who's going to win, so you're not really paying attention to the win. So there's that element of it that I'm not really looking forward to, because it's kind of like the races, you just know Max is going to win, especially with the car. And I'm not discrediting him. He's done a great job. The car is freaking fantastic, and it's working well with them. Like they've meshed well. Man and machine have become one, right? So I'll give him credit, but I just I wish there was a bit more at stake. Like.
Yeah.
There's nothing, like it's just like for who's gonna get
Yeah.
second. It's not as exciting.
Yeah.
It's not as
You know?
exciting.
Not as exciting, but it does make the experience a bit more different, which I think as Mercedes fans, if like, especially those who had been following the sport, like since Lewis joined the team, I think it's
sure.
kind of a different experience that we kind of have to lean into. But like,
I can't wait. Like we better
fast.
be rising next year, because like, and like I haven't
That's
even
great.
been there for the glory days, right? Like of the
Oh, I know.
to back to back,
Oh,
right? So
no.
I'm there for the glory days, right? So
Girl, those
I'm
were
like,
good times.
I'm feeling for
Great
the
times.
fan base that's been, you know, there for the long haul. So, you know, I pray that we're at the top next year, or at least there's competition. I don't want Mercedes to do a Red Bull and win by a mile either. Like there has to be some competition. Otherwise you're not watching anything, right?
Not really.
I mean, I don't know if Red Bull fans feel the same way because they, you know, they're now in their moment, and I get that for them. But like, I know, like at a certain point, it's like, you know, it's refreshing, you know, when your team, when you know you're gonna wake up on a Sunday or whatever, and you know that your team's gonna just run away with it, unless something disastrous happens. But like, yeah, it's a different experience for us, and hopefully it gets better.
It's a humbling experience sometimes. Sometimes it's just really, really painful watching and thinking back on where we used to be. And then it's like, but then you realize so many others kind of had that experience, and it's like, I guess now it's our turn.
I think we were really, really, really blessed with 2021. I think we were really, really blessed with that season. And now we're all just like craving another season like that with more like competition.
That ended though.
Saddam, I know
the competition,
Abu Dhabi was very painful. It was very painful for all of us. But like I'm craving like another like I'm craving the competition, and I think it's mostly stems from the 2021 season.
Down to the wire.
Just having some competition. That's all we want. Like and we're not asking for someone else to we want people, and I wouldn't mind, like I said, if you just took Max Verstappen out and we were watching who was fighting, you know, at the moment, it would be a good season. But
crazy first place battles if Verstappen was not racing. But
absolutely.
No, it is what
you would
it
never
is.
know. It could be anyone every weekend. I mean, it could have been Lando this week. Yeah,
could have been Lando. Oh, that's painful. But you know what? Hoping for better days. Sumi, thank you so much for joining. We so appreciated having you on, and like,
thank you guys so much.
You were amazing. Thank you. Where would you like to be found, if anywhere?
I think just Twitter is fine. That's where all my F1 ramblings are. I mean, I'm on Threads now, but that's like linked to Instagram, so it's a bit harder to follow, and I don't think anyone's really using Threads. There isn't a real established F1 community on there, but Twitter, so I'm 99 Cent on Twitter, I have to think. I'm pretty sure that's who I am. Because I'm 99 Centile on Instagram, so I couldn't have Centile on Twitter, or was it the other way around? Because it was taken, so that's why it was shortened. Yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah, it's all right, and it's a great username regardless.
Thank you.
And you can find all of us on Goss F1 on your Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We are not yet on Threads. We're still working out the privacy settings on that. And our information there. But yes, we are on there. Please subscribe if you like this sort of stuff so you can catch all our rest of our shows, because I always forget to mention that. And we will see you in 2 weeks for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Budapest, baby. Oh, it's the Hungaroring, because I can never pronounce it.
Hungaroring? I can't say it.
Hungaroring?
What?
I don't know.
Good night.
If you are Hungarian, please let us know. Okay, love you lots. Bye, Piku. Bye.